Hello, Renee. How you doing?
I'm good, Marvina. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though we know I want to, but I'm not.
You,
But
you, you,
yeah,
your self-restraint is amazing.
getting in gear for I thought the weather was cooling off, and it
Yeah,
was, but then it kind of spiked again.
I know.
I was ready to kind of, start transitioning into my cozy mode, but
Yes, yes. I know. Bumped right back up to the 80s. So here we are, the first part of November, and it's like I'm still wearing shorts.
I know, right? I thought I was through that period of, like I'm between summer
Yeah,
clothes and winter clothes or
yeah.
fall clothes. I'm like, so I packed up all my summer and things, and I'm like, I can put them away, but now I'm not exactly sure. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
anyway, well, I'm glad you're doing well.
Yes, you too.
Okay,
You.
good.
Yeah.
We are at episode 64.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Time has gone by, almost at the end of
Yeah,
the year. Like you said, we're in November,
yeah.
and we're going to be at the end of December before we know it.
I know. It's just
it
flying. It is just
is
flying.
flying. It is. Well, today, what we're going to have a conversation about is being wounded. That's the title of our podcast today, is Wounded. And it's, uh, you know, that could be kind of a vast subject, but I think our conversation is gonna be today. Oh, wait, let me say this. I saw
Okay.
I saw that face.
Copy.
I
Yeah.
saw that face. So you might hear my little notes. I'm trying to stay on focus today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in case, so for our audience, in case you hear some turning of pages, that's what it is. Now I can't promise you that I'm gonna stay on task, but we're gonna try.
All
Ready?
right.
So, as I was saying, we're gonna have an episode on wounded, and just have a conversation about it. And I thought we thought that would be a good conversation because a lot of us are walking around wounded.
Right.
Some of
Right.
us don't even know that we're wounded, right? And we're walking
Hmm.
around with these wounds. I also think it's a good subject because just the state of the world, we're all like people, you can see people literally acting out of their hurt, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. True.
responding out of hurt. And
Yeah.
it comes as anger, sometimes it comes as, different things, but the root of it a lot of times is just unresolved hurt.
Right. Right.
And so here in my notes, I have carrying emotional scars, unhealed traumas, old disappointments, all of those factor into to us being wounded, walking
Hmm.
around wounded, right? And sometimes we have silent hurts, right? That
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
haven't expressed or talked about. And what I find ironic, and this is just a people thing, is a lot of times we walk around with these hurts and these wounds, and we think we're hiding them, and we're not,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Other people can see them, they can hear them, they can feel them sometimes.
Right. Right.
And sometimes we're not fooling anyone but ourselves.
Hmm.
And so while wounds are a part of life, it's not something that we don't have to stay wounded,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Um, Sometimes, so thinking about just a wound, period. I'm going
Hmm.
to try not to get too graphic here, but, and I don't think I will just because, anyway, sometimes walking around, so you get a wound, right? And
Hmm.
in that healing process, sometimes it feels worse than the initial wound, right? Imagine, I've had where I've had actually not too long ago, I had like a bug bite. I've been trying to be outside more, like
Yeah.
outside in my garden, in my backyard more. And those that know me knows that by nature, I'm not that girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typically, I like to be comfortable. I don't want any dirt. I don't want any, but there's something about being in nature. And we've had this conversation and I've told you how
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it. And you should see me. I'm suited and booted from I cover my hair. I have gloves up to here. Like it's a whole thing. I need to be protected. But even with that, I got a bug bite or mosquito bite, something, and I you know, cleaned it and all that. But then as the wound or the wound starts healing, you get that itch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is just like, oh my gosh, as much as you try not to scratch it, I'm just like, I cannot take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what happened was I must have scratched the wound and it got infected and it got worse. The
Hmm.
skin, was, and so I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? And so, um, because I'm extra,
Yeah. Got that from your mama. Yeah. Okay.
and my dad,
Yeah.
but yes, you'll have to meet him. But I will, it's so funny. So the girls at work, I'm like, this is something wrong here. Like,
Yeah.
it was small, but it just didn't feel right. So I drew my little circle around it so I could see if it was growing because I don't want my arm to fall off. I'm just saying. I hear about flesh eating bacteria, all this stuff. So Renee's like, where are we going? Anyway, I never disappoint, right?
Yeah.
Renee.
No, no. Ah,
So I drew this little circle around, around the bite, so I could tell if it's
yeah.
growing or not. And so the girls at work were like, "Okay, you're doing a lot." I'm like, "No, I have to know if it's growing or not." Long story short, I ended up going to the hospital because it did grow and it went way beyond my circle.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
so now to me, that's like, I'm like, well, how else am I going to know? Right. So it's regular to me. I go to the emergency room, and one of the first things the triage nurse said, he's like, somebody's been watching some medical, medical something. And I'm like, it was no growth. She said, yeah, you did. Okay. But anyway, back to my original story. My whole point is that's part of the healing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you ignore it, or you may put some ointment on it and it starts to get better. Sometimes we irritate it even more
Hmm.
because we ignore the signs of the healing, and we're
Hmm.
just so focused on the itch, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
um and then you irritate it by doing all these other things even though you shouldn't do it, and it makes it worse,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
and then sometimes, and then even so you get past that point, and then the wound starts healing, it scabs over, but even when that scab comes, it's not always comfortable either,
Yeah.
right? And so sometimes we can go with the healing, or we fight it sometimes, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't even know we're fighting it because we don't even know we're wounded. I guess that's where I was trying to go.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so, I don't know. I just think that sometimes we have to just kind of sit with God
Hmm.
and let God reveal some things to us.
Hmm.
Sometimes I think when we're in a world that tells us, if this has happened to you, this is the way you should react. And all
Hmm.
the time, it's not always the way God would want us to react. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying that we don't address those hurts or things like that. Um, but sometimes we can get so self-absorbed
Yeah.
with the wound and the person who we feel has wounded us.
Mm-hmm.
And our attention is not on tending to the wound
Mm-hmm.
through Christ.
Yeah. 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 No. And like you said, we all walk through life with wounds,
Mm-hmm.
every one of us. And I think it depends, like you say, on how we respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't even realize how we respond to things.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said earlier, sometimes it's anger. Sometimes you don't know why. Why is it that I respond in anger sometimes to people? Or
Right.
why is it that I retreat if someone
Right.
says something that isn't comfortable or hurts my feelings? And sometimes I think you carry those wounds as if you think you have to carry those wounds all your life,
Right.
you know. Um, uh, Going through my process of healing,
Mm-hmm.
there were several things that I realized that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had heard somebody say one time, and this is what really struck me was sometimes you're defeated by the wounds of the past. And they were saying about an
Mm-hmm.
elephant,
Mm-hmm.
right? A circus elephant.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk by them, all they have is a chain around their ankle and it's attached to a post in the ground,
Mm-hmm.
right? But because the elephant, he may tug on it, but once he can't go any further than that tug, in his mind, he's stuck there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no getting out of it. I'm just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think wounded people think that that's their future.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck here. I can't move past these wounds of the past,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And so what happens then? Okay, I can't get out of this. This is who I'm going to be. You get angry, you get
Yep.
frustrated, you get
Yep.
uh some people can get suicidal, some people can,
Yeah.
um so I think it's important. One of the things that really helped me through my process, and like I said, I went through like 4 years of counseling
Okay.
because of some dysfunction in our family and stuff. One of the verses that just really struck me was Luke 4:18, and this is out of the King James version. I'm gonna read it. But
Okay.
Jesus is basically he's reading off of a scroll in the synagogue, which is at that moment announcing his ministry, what
Okay.
he is there for. So he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to
Mm-hmm.
preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind." And this is the point that I think is really important here: to
Mm-hmm.
set at liberty them that are bruised.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, a bruise is a bleeding under the skin. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us carry those bruises, things that have
Mm-hmm.
happened, and then we carry them with us. And
Mm-hmm.
the part that really struck me about this scripture is he said, I didn't come to help you through your wounds. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
come to baby you through your wounds. He says, I came to set at liberty
Mm-hmm.
those of you who are wounded and bruised.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really struck me that we think there's nothing beyond what we're carrying. But he's
Mm-hmm.
saying, no, there's liberty
Yes.
for your wounds. That you can be set aside. You will always have those memories in your background, but they won't affect how you
Mm-hmm.
move forward,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
And when you mentioned about the bruising, um, some of us bleed in silence, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's what you mentioned about bruising and
Yeah.
uh, a bleeding under the skin, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes we bleed in silence, and sometimes, like you said, those wounds can come from betrayal,
Hmm.
broken relationships,
Hmm.
which could include friendships. They can include marriages. They can include um, different relationships with loved ones, loss and grief. There's
Hmm.
a lot that wounds us, right?
Hmm.
Because it's life.
Yeah.
Um, but also back to kind of what you were saying is it's not about, like you said, we have the memories. Those are scars, right?
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
could be scars,
Right.
right?
Right.
Not necessarily an open wound, as we go
Right.
through healing and we allow God to come in um and help us to work through those traumas. Like you said, we're going to have those memories.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and those are scars. They're evidence that you've come through,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um I think it was John, I think it's John 20 and 27. I think it's John 20:27. Let me see. I think I have it pulled up here. I think that's the right scripture. But it struck me because I was like, yeah, that's right. um, so John 20:27, it says, so Jesus had said to Thomas after the resurrection, put your finger here. He showed him a
Hmm.
scars,
Hmm.
right? In
Hmm.
his hands. See my hands, reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe. He actually invited Thomas to see and touch his scars, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because that's evidence of your healing, of
Hmm.
or of of others' healings. And I think sometimes we try to hide the scars
Right. Right.
when that's it's part of the healing, and it helps others to see that they can be um what's the word I'm looking for? Not delivered, but their wounds can be healed.
They have hope for that healing. Right.
They
Right.
have hope,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was, I thought about that as you were just talking about that, and I had already pulled up the scripture because and looked at it, but it's so very true.
Hmm.
Um, don't we just sometimes we have to open up. We have to open to the process. Um, So I know you mentioned going to counseling, and did you find did you find that that helped with some of the wounds or traumas that you had? Because I do, I talk to a lot of people, and I'm big on counseling and therapy because I think it gives you a safe place to be able to. A lot of us have grown up with different dysfunctions in
Right.
our families, in our relationships, whatever.
Hmm.
And it gives you a place to be able to um, be vulnerable and kind of really talk about those traumas so that you can start healing. It also gives you, I believe, you garner tools to be able to help you to
Right.
kind of bridge and and walk through this thing of whatever it is. And but I think that sometimes people go into counseling with a different outlook, like they think that that itself is going to be the healing by
Hmm.
itself.
Hmm.
um would you mind sharing just a little bit of your experience of just the counseling, and was it easy, was it hard?
Yeah, there were parts of it that were very difficult. I was going in, I think, once a week for the first maybe couple of months. And I would go for, about through a box of tissue,
Okay.
each time I went because it was difficult. But
Okay.
I think when you go into counseling, excuse me, um, I think when I went in, I was just tired of where I was. I think you have to be tired of
Yeah.
carrying the wounds
Yeah.
or tired of, again, you're going to carry the scars. I guess tired of carrying the effects of the wounds.
Yes. Okay.
So
Yeah.
when I first went in, I had a list and I said, here's where I am. Here's where I want to be.
Okay.
So I had already determined I want out of this. I don't want to
Right.
carry this baggage anymore.
Right.
And so that was a good starting point. And I think a lot of times in counseling, people want to go in and here's my wound.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the person who gave it to me. I want them to be accountable. I want them to be responsible. I want them, and you can't, that's not going to work. If that's your focus is to shine the blame on who's done the wrong,
Yes.
it's not going to help you because it's not helping
Hmm.
heal the wound. It's just helping
Right,
establishing the blame, right?
right, right,
And chances are those people will never take accountability for it.
right.
So you're fighting a losing battle sometimes.
Hmm.
So I think just understanding that if you're going in, that you're talking about the wounds that trip you up, that keep you
Hmm.
in depression or anger or whatever it might, or in you know I was dealing with insignificance, just
Hmm.
like we were told we were stupid, so it's like, okay, I must be
Hmm.
stupid. And I was
Hmm.
I was tired of that. It's like I know I'm not, but
Hmm.
this message,
Hmm.
it just hangs on me,
Right.
just hangs on me. So I think for the counseling, I think you just have to be willing to say, I don't care about anybody else,
Yeah.
who gave it to me, how I got
Yeah.
it. It's just, I want it to be healed. I want to be liberated
Yes.
from the weight that I carry because of that wound.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned that, and wanting to be liberated, a lot of times the hurt that's inflicted is because that other person or those other people did not tend to their wounds,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Or they didn't get help. They were wounded,
Yeah.
right? That's what we hear. Hurt people, right?
Hmm.
But it really is true that because they have all these wounds that that never healed,
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe they started scabbing over, then you rip the scab, and then it causes a deeper, a deeper
Deeper wound.
sore
Yeah.
infection, whatever. Um, but what the way that plays out is then
Hmm.
we inflict wounds on other people. So
Hmm.
our healing depends on other. So our, wait a minute, let me see what I'm trying to say. Sometimes the way we treat others and the way we show up for others depends on our healing, right?
Mm, mm.
If we're unhealed, and I'm not saying, I mean, this is life. There's going to be wounds. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? As soon as one heals up, you know,
Yeah.
here
Another
comes
one's coming
another
your
one,
way. Yeah.
right? But how much more effective would our testimonies be
Hmm.
if we would look at our wounds instead of others' wounds,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Now, and I think, again, part of it is we're so focused on others
Hmm.
that we're
Hmm.
over here bleeding silently.
Yeah.
And I see that in a lot of, some of the relationships that I have, and I'm not saying that I'm completely healed from my wounds. I'm
Hmm.
work in progress. But sometimes I keep hearing the same thing played over and over again, or you keep talking about the same thing. We're 50 years down the road now. And I'm not saying that that wasn't that was something that did not truly wound you,
Hmm.
but all of this stuff over here that you're doing, it is the root is over here. It's
Yeah.
the wound,
Yeah.
right? Um, talking about my little bite that I had. It like my whole arm just kind of swelled up, and it was
Oh.
getting red, right? It
Hmm.
was That's why I didn't want it to travel to my heart. So I figured I needed to go. But even with all that, the main issue was the bite,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And then the symptoms just started,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Because it got irritated. I wasn't tending to it properly. It just started growing.
Right.
And I think that's what happens with us in our lives. We're always, if we're always focused on um the pain of it, it keeps us from, there's going to be pain in our healing and moving
Hmm.
forward, right?
Hmm.
There's no way to avoid that. Either you're going to live with this pain, the gravity of it, or
Hmm.
you're going to move through it and allow God to take it.
Right.
You be able to be liberated.
Hmm.
And I think and the way that looks to me is when we keep talking about the same problem over and over and
Hmm.
over again.
Hmm.
When we keep talking about what someone did to us over and over and
Right.
over
Right.
again. When we are always so critical of other people, sometimes that comes from our wounds. You
Hmm.
haven't tended to your own wounds. So
Yeah.
you see all these things in other people when what we're doing is we're wounding people
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're just lashing out.
Hmm.
We're just focused on what we want. And I understand how you can get in that mind frame because you have been hurt. You
Hmm.
have been wronged. And
Hmm.
so you go into this um, mode of self-preservation,
Hmm.
protecting self. But that's where we have to give it to God. We have to give those things
Right.
to God. He tells us all through his word, he's there to carry our burden.
Hmm.
He's there
Hmm.
to take the heaviness away.
Right.
And those scars, like I said, and those things can be used to, and I believe will be used to minister to other people.
Hmm.
Because while you're going through the hurt, you don't realize, you just know it's like survival mode, right?
Right. Right.
Like, and then sometimes those I think we put up those defense mechanisms and we just never take them down.
Yeah.
And even when we come to Christ, and I think, a lot of times we can justify our actions
Hmm.
based on what was done to us. And again, we're just keeping that cycle going,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Well, now we're being the ones that are hurting people. It may not come out the same way that we were hurt. I think that's the other thing. Sometimes we're looking at, but I didn't do this. No, but you did this.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
words hurt. And sometimes we just, I've been around people who I'm just like, girl, let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not healing. Clearly, you're not healing. So if I'm tired of hearing it, I know the people close to you are tired of hearing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I think what you were talking about going to the doctor, okay, that's with your bite, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You went to the hospital because you wanted it to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we have to get to that point where, okay, Lord, I want this to be addressed.
Right. Right.
And I was thinking, I had an experience probably 2 summers ago. Um, and it made me think this experience. I thought of it and I thought, this is how we are sometimes, is that we want to do it our way.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
want to, like you say, keep pointing fingers. That's how we're going to resolve this pain, or
Mm-hmm.
get them to confess, or get them to take
Mm-hmm.
accountability.
Right.
And so I was driving to pick up an aunt for lunch,
Mm-hmm.
and it was over in the Elk Grove area, and there was a lot of undeveloped land.
Mm-hmm.
It still is. And so I have a particular interest in hawks. I love hawks. I think they're beautiful.
Okay. Okay.
So I
Okay.
was driving by this field and I saw this bird and a hawk was chasing it.
Okay.
And so I'm driving because there's not a lot of traffic, so I'm able to just kind of watch. And it's interesting because this hawk is just, dogging this bird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I got closer, I saw that the bird had a field mouse in its mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the hawk wants.
You
You
have really
want,
good eyes, even with glasses. I
yeah.
don't think I would have been able to see that, but okay.
Oh, it was so close. It was
Got
because
it.
they were coming
Okay.
toward the road where I
Okay.
was driving. So I'm watching this, and this hawk is just he's ditching and just trying to get that mouse, right? He wants that.
Okay.
And so the bird dips, and so did the hawk right into my windshield.
What?
Yep, I'm just, I love hawks, so I'm just kind of like, and it hit
Oh,
my windshield and flipped over back into the field because the road's right next to the field. So he
wow.
flipped over and went into the field, but I didn't kill him. I saw him get up and kind of, try
You
to
thought
flutter off.
you had to tell us that.
Yeah, I didn't kill him, I promise.
You
So he
always
did.
have the most interesting stories. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was just, but I thought of that when we were getting ready for this. I'm going, how many times do we want
Yeah.
that something? I want that person to be responsible, or it's like, okay, but that's not, so you're going to pay a price for always wanting it how to solve the problem or heal the wound your
The
way.
way, yes.
It's
Yeah.
not gonna, it's
Hmm.
like you say, telling the same
Hmm.
story. This person did this to me and this. It's like,
Right.
okay, that is not going to heal the wound. What you have to do
Right.
is, let go of, I want that. I want it that way.
Right.
And just be able to go to God and say, you need to address this. And whatever I need to do,
Mm-hmm.
if I need to take accountability
Right.
for whatever it was that my part in it,
Right.
then I want to do that. So,
Right.
yeah, it was just very interesting to me when I thought of that, yeah, sometimes we want to dictate
Right.
how our healing or how our release from that wound, or,
Yes.
you know, I'm not even going to say liberty because we really don't want to be liberated from it.
Yeah.
We somehow want to be defined by it,
Yeah. I
you
think
know.
sometimes we get comfortable in that space.
Yeah, yeah.
And and a lot of times when we're wounded, it affects a lot, right? It affects our identity. It affects there's a myriad of things
Hmm.
that it affects. And like you said, sometimes we just, and I think we that becomes our identity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And sometimes that's because when I talk about it, I get the ear of people, or
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I won't say sympathy because I don't think a lot of people are looking for sympathy, but maybe they feel heard or they feel,
Yeah,
you know, but but when you continue to just replay it, and you stay there, and I'm not,
mhm,
because you do get to a point, and that's when we're talking about the scars. It happened. I have the effects that it happened.
right.
You can see that it happened. I've shown you the scars that it happened. But instead of looking at it as a wound, it's healed now, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a scar. It's evidence of what God has brought me from
Right,
and
right.
brought me through.
Yeah,
And now, because God has helped me through that, I can be a vessel.
right,
I can be a vessel for God to help others through
right, right.
that. I think sometimes we just get so we become, depending on what tools that you've used, we could become self-righteous
Mhm. Mhm.
in our hurt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I wrote down here, some wounds stay open because we avoid the pain rather than facing it.
Hmm. Hmm.
We try to fix it ourselves alone, right?
Hmm.
And that's when I got to catch myself sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, we already talked about me and Martha, but sometimes I can hone into things. I'm like, no, but you're not, that's not it. This is it, when instead of bringing understanding, I'm bringing more confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
Um, we can hold on to unforgiveness. We rehearse the hurt instead of releasing it. And that's what I was talking about, just talking about it all the time,
Right. Right.
staying in this place of unforgiveness. I'm choosing. And when I say, forgiveness, when we're talking about forgiveness or unforgiveness, it's not saying that you're okaying it. It's not saying that
Right.
you're giving someone a pass, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to release it.
Yeah.
And so that you can move on. And I know we hear forgiveness is more for you than the other person, and we get to even tired of hearing tired of hearing that sometimes. But
Yeah.
you have to find a way to be liberated. You have to find that through Christ. You
Right.
have to, because if you don't, the quality of life that you have, why do you want to stay in this miserable place? And you're not the one who inflicted the wound. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you've taken that on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes we, like you said, we keep carrying what God has asked us to cast.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That would have been like you going back into the office 3 weeks after your visit to the doctor and go, it was right there, folks. It was,
Right.
I got bit right there. And you
Right.
want to keep telling that. And it's like, okay,
Right.
it, it's
Right.
in the
And you left
past.
there my circle, and I
Yeah.
knew I needed.
Oh, gosh. Well, one thing I learned in I kind of got out of the counseling was, and I think this is a problem too, is that if you think of your life as a tapestry,
Mm-hmm,
okay, one of those tapestries on the wall,
mm-hmm,
you might see a thread,
mm-hmm,
maybe a black thread that went through that was a difficult time that was like, and that's all you can focus on.
mm-hmm,
You're standing right up to the tapestry and it's like, look what happened right there. Look at that. But
mm-hmm,
God wants you to step back and
mm-hmm,
go, there's more to the tapestry of your life than that
mm-hmm.
thread
Yes.
that happened to you. And
Mm-hmm.
look what I want to develop in your
Right.
life with the
Right.
healing and the liberty from this wound.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the gold threads that are going to go through it. Look at the
Mm-hmm.
the brilliant blues, and this is what I
Mm-hmm.
want from you, but you have to step back from that.
You do.
You
Yeah.
can't just keep looking at the grays that are in there.
Right.
Why is this here? I
Right.
don't understand why it's there. It's like, step back. What
Right.
does God want you to see about your life? That it's
Mm-hmm.
not just this wound, not just this
Mm-hmm.
incident that happened.
Right.
He wants to say, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
it happened, but
Mm-hmm.
let's step back. And I
Right.
think once you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
then you can be more of service to other people.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at
Mm-hmm.
them and go, you know what? Yes, this is the wound, but I'll tell you something. And this is what, from my own testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are wounds, but I can tell you from my experience,
Mm-hmm.
there is liberty
Yes.
from the effects of that wound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you say, we'll have the
Yeah.
scar,
Yeah.
but you know what? I don't keep going back and going, this is where the bug got me. Look, it was
Yes.
right there. It was,
Right.
you are, I don't know how better to say it. You are set at liberty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what's important, and you and I are kind of talking about this a little bit, is we're coming up into a new year.
Mm-hmm.
In just 2 months, we're at 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it earlier. How many people have been carrying it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the
Mm-hmm.
same wound? And it's
Yeah.
like, I would love to see people start the new year
Mm-hmm.
with liberty in their hearts, no longer saying, this hurt me, I can't get past it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then stop being the elephant
Yeah.
that's tied to the post. You're not. You're
Mm-hmm.
not that. You have the strength with the Lord to pull away from that. You can pull
Right.
that post up,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Stop being that hawk that wants to do
Right.
it your own way.
Right.
You're going to get damaged in the process.
Yep. You're gonna hit a windshield.
You're going
Yeah.
to hit a windshield.
Hard.
Yeah. And then maybe not be flying for a while. You just be
Right.
walking, you know?
Right.
But
Right. You're
yeah.
so right. Yeah.
Um, so I think that's really my desire for people. If you're wounded,
Yeah.
just say, you know what? This is the last year that I'm walking in this. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't even wait till the end of the year. I would do it
Right.
right now.
Yep.
Just say,
Yep.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Go in,
God,
have
yeah,
that. You're already going, you're going to already take that into the new year. Yeah.
yeah,
Start
yeah,
today. Yeah.
yeah. And just, I want to, I just allow him to heal the wounds and, and step back and look at that tapestry as a whole.
Yes.
Um, and that one thread, that maybe a couple of threads, it doesn't diminish the beauty of what God has
Mm.
intended for your life.
And it actually adds to it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I was, as you were giving that, I was trying to wait my turn because I always
Oh,
be.
sorry.
No. I'm just saying, I'm focusing on, I'm trying to, because I interrupt a lot.
No, no.
But um, as you were describing that, even that black thread is part of the tapestry.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can't see the beauty in it until you step back and it
yeah,
all comes together,
yeah.
right? Removing that thread is going to change the look of that tapestry
Right.
because it's so subtle. You don't your eye doesn't just go to that thread when you step back, but it
Yeah,
adds to the overall beauty of it.
right.
But when you're this close to it, you're so focused on that imperfection, right? And
Yeah,
then you forget. No, the rest of the tapestry is adding, and this adds to it.
yeah,
And once was, what was something that was damaging or harsh, it adds to the beauty of who you are. It really does.
yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
um, so
Yeah. And I think, just understanding that you're not alone in your
yes,
wounds. Every one
yeah,
of us. I don't know anybody who is not wounded,
that's right.
you know.
Right. And we're not, and that's the thing. If Jesus was wounded, you're gonna be wounded.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no way around it. We're gonna be wounded.
yeah, yeah.
It's just what we do with those wounds, right?
Right,
And
right,
we help to teach others through the way we move through
right.
those that God has placed around us and that have put in our circle of influence. They learn how to move through theirs.
Yeah, yeah,
And so,
yeah. And if you can walk in liberty,
mhm,
what an amazing testimony and um, hope that gives to somebody
yes,
that you can go, no, I am living proof
that's
that
right.
there is liberty from that wound,
That's right.
So I think we think sometimes we're getting what we need out of the wound,
Right.
having it.
Right.
But
Right.
if you could just go, no, let me go for the liberty, you'll be going, what was I doing?
What? Yeah.
Why was I holding on? You
Right.
know?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yep. Well, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. It just, let's if you're walking wounded, just
Yes.
let's look at this for the end of this year. It's like
Right.
just seek the liberty that
Seek
God
the,
wants to give. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Seek liberty.
From the bruises. Yep.
That's right. Don't bleed in silence.
Right. Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so with that,
With that,
until next time,
until next time, you take care.
thank you. You too.
All right. See
All
you
right.
later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.